Tuesday update on Hurricane Milton. I'm Ken Welchner of the city of St. Petersburg. Happy to be joined by Representative Kathy Casper, also our chair of the city council, Deborah Fix-Sanders, and our emergency management manager, Amber Bolden. And we have our St. Pete team here as well. There hasn't been much change in the latest Milton updates. Milton continues to rapidly intensify and is on track to make landfall on Florida's west coast. I'll reemphasize in the strongest terms possible. This is an incredibly powerful storm, and we all need to take it seriously. There will be extremely high winds with this storm. We're expecting winds of over 100 miles per hour, winds we did not receive with Hurricane Helene. We're also expecting to receive between 10 to 15 feet of storm surge. That is an unprecedented level of storm surge and is twice the level of Hurricane Helene's surge. There are mandatory evacuations in place in zones A, B, and C and all mobile homes. There's currently a pet-friendly shelter in place at Gibbs High School with plenty of capacity. There are resources to help you get to a shelter if you need transportation. There are free evacuation shuttles that you can call to transport you to those shelters. Please call 800-729-3413 from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. for evacuation assistance. That's 800-729-3413. The shelters are there for your safety. Please use them if you are in an evacuation zone. Please heed those evacuation orders and evacuate as soon as possible. The time to evacuate is shortened. Now, we have identified another issue related to the rapid strengthening of this hurricane that I want you all to be aware of, and that is the cranes that are operating in our city. Due to Hurricane Milton's rapid intensification and potential wind speeds, there is a risk related to some of the construction cranes that are operating in our city. Due to tower crane height and design, there are 4 construction sites in the downtown St. Petersburg area and Gateway that are susceptible to the anticipated high winds forecast for the approaching hurricane. This means residents near those 4 construction sites are at risk for those cranes malfunctioning during the storm. The 4 construction sites within the city are at 400 Central Avenue, 275 First Avenue North, 1000 First Avenue, and 101 Main Street. Now, due to the specialized nature of crane operations, lowering or securing a tower crane is scheduled weeks in advance and is not a feasible solution within the time frame of the approaching storm due to the rapid intensification and the forecasted path. Now, while these cranes will be weather-vane, which is the safest way for them to operate during a storm, we want residents in the surrounding areas to be aware of this potential hazard. We are recommending that residents in this area either relocate or move into an inner room without windows as the storm is passing. This includes a stairwell or inner room in the building. The city is working to notify residents in the surrounding areas, and we are distributing information materials to inform the residents of the potential hazard. Every resident in those areas should take the necessary precautions to prepare for this storm. We want to make sure you have all the information you need to make smart decisions as Milton approaches our city. As we start to feel the impacts from Milton in the coming hours, the city is closely monitoring the storm and will take all necessary precautions to prepare our city. Please take this storm seriously. Your safety is the greatest priority during this storm. I'll now turn it over to Yolanda for Spanish translation, and she'll be followed by our city emergency manager, Amber Bolden. Yolanda.
Thank you, Mayor. El huracán Milton continúa intensificándose rápidamente y está en camino de tocar tierra en la costa de la Florida. Esperamos vientos de más de 160 millas por hora, vientos que no recibimos durante el huracán Helene. También esperamos recibir entre 10 y 15 pies de marejada ciclónica, el doble que con el huracán Helene. Hay evacuaciones obligatorias en las zonas A, B y C y todas las casas móviles. Actualmente hay un refugio para personas y sus mascotas abierto en St. Petersburg, Gibbs High School. Hay recursos para ayudarle a llegar a ese refugio. Por favor, llame al 800-729-3413 hasta las 7 p.m. para asistencia de evacuación. Hemos identificado otro problema relacionado con grúas de construcción en el downtown de St. Petersburg. Debido a las velocidades potenciales del viento, hay 4 sitios de construcción que son susceptibles. Los residentes cercanos a esas 4 obras corren el riesgo de que las grúas se derrumben. Recomendamos que se trasladen a una habitación interior sin ventanas cuando pase la tormenta. Esto incluye una escalera o también una habitación interior en el edificio. En fin, todos los residentes de la ciudad deben tomar las precauciones necesarias para prepararse para esta tormenta.
Thank you, Yolanda.
Good morning. I want to start by thanking everyone who's followed the evacuation order that's been given and gotten themselves and their family to safety. For those of you who have not left yet and you're in an evacuation zone, you still have time. However, that window is closing. Please make your final preparations at your home and make your way to a shelter by tomorrow morning. Visit disaster.pinellas.gov for the latest open shelter locations, or you can call the County Information Center at 727-464-4333. Hurricane Milton will make landfall as a major hurricane somewhere near the Tampa Bay area. I want to caution everybody to focus too close on these small shifts that we see. Tampa Bay remains in the cone and very close to that projected center line. So on its projected path, Tampa Bay, St. Pete could see the northern eye wall of that storm, and any type of wobble could bring the storm right back over our city, just north of our city, which is that worst case scenario, or it could take it a little further south. We just don't know, and we have to prepare for that scenario of what the National Hurricane Center is telling us, is of that 10 to 15 feet of storm surge and winds up to 100 miles per hour. I just want to remind everybody, once we get through this storm, with these high winds and this flood, we're going to see impacts like we've never seen before here in Tampa Bay. And I want to caution everybody, to be safe once we get through the storm. We don't want to go out, we don't want to sightsee. We're going to have hazards out there that we're just not used to. So we want you to shelter in place, stay at your shelter if you evacuated, and wait for official word from the city and from the county to let you know when it's all clear to get out. Our first responders will push out as soon as they can to help those residents in need. But part of that first push is also clearing the roadways so that we can get folks to the hospital and to emergency care if they need it. So the less residents that we can have out on the road, the better. And we'll continue to update that safety message as we get closer to landfall and we get to that recovery piece. I just want to end to say, please stay safe, please take care of one another, check on your neighbors, and we'll stay in touch with you throughout the process.
Thank you, Ann. We are really blessed to have a great congressional representative, Kathy Castor, who is always engaged in our community, even before a storm like this, but especially during this hurricane, engaging the federal government, making sure we get all the support we need. So just want to thank you for being the representative. I'd like to hear from you.
Thank you, Mayor Welch, and thanks to everyone here at the St. Petersburg Emergency Operations Team, to the St. Pete Police Department and Fire Rescue. I want to assure everyone, all of our neighbors across the city of St. Petersburg, that your federal partners are fully engaged in the preparation for Hurricane Milton. That includes FEMA, that includes the United States Coast Guard, that includes the National Hurricane Center and the National Weather Service. It was very important that the FEMA Administrator, Dan Criswell, was here in St. Petersburg yesterday, meeting with Mayor Welch and his team. She is assuring everyone that FEMA has the resources necessary to respond to this disaster. This is the largest mobilization of FEMA personnel in recent history, and they have pre-positioned supplies that are needed in the recovery phase and response phase as well. That includes meals, water, tarps, They have search and rescue teams poised to go out into the bay, into the waters, to make sure that they are able to respond to any life-threatening situations. We're also fortunate here in St. Petersburg to have a very active Coast Guard presence. And the personnel from Sector St. Pete and the Clearwater Air Station are poised for their search and rescue and their post-Hurricane Milton response activities. They are fully devoted to this community and keeping everyone safe and well. The National Hurricane Center has been issuing its updates, and I think it's very important that you listen to their terminology, because this terminology is unlike anything that we have heard in past decades. I don't remember any time, there's not been any time when a community was socked with a double whammy like we are about to experience. To have a devastating storm surge from Hurricane Helene, followed by the triple threat that Hurricane Milton poses to us. The National Hurricane Center is talking about that. Hurricane Helene was a devastating surge with little rain and not a lot of high winds. But this is the triple threat that we have feared for decades and decades, because it involves storm surge, it involves flash flooding, and it involves high winds. The National Hurricane Center emphasizes that Milton is expected to grow as it approaches the west coast of Florida. It will approach as an extremely dangerous hurricane with a large destructive storm surge that they call life-threatening. So follow all of the local authorities. Listen to what the City of St. Petersburg and Mayor Welch are advising about getting out of your evacuation zones. The National Hurricane Center is advising that these will be devastating hurricane-force winds. They advise to protect life and property now. You have a rapidly closing window to secure your life and your valuables. They are predicting heavy rainfall, flash urban flooding that will all combine to increase the overall threat. And Mayor, I have to say, I'm a little bit concerned because I've heard from some people this morning that they think it will be okay if they're on a second story of a building. They think, well, after the storm surge of Helene, if you were in an evacuation zone, but you were able to get up on the second and third story, you're going to be safe. I think that that is a colossal life-threatening error. Do not put your life at risk, because the National Hurricane Center also advises that after this catastrophe, large portions of the Tampa Bay area are going to be uninhabitable. You're not going to have power. You may not have other essentials. The time is now for you to evacuate. Take this storm seriously and listen to Mayor Welch and the St. Petersburg Emergency Response Team. Thank you.